Greetings, and today's idiot is Rebel Without a Pause. He seems to be the typical conspiracy nut who has gullibly fallen down the rabbit hole and has sucked up all the current conspiracies that seem to be floating around. Everything from Flat Earth to the Mandela Effect to jet fuel hoax to the COVID-19 hoax pandemic rubbish that's going around. And he's posted videos accordingly, and they are some of the most stupid videos. I mean, he's quite happy to post these videos of these mass gatherings in Glasgow to protest about the COVID hoax and 5G and all that. Well, they don't seem to be that mass gatherings at all. There's more people in a quiet Monday evening in a British pub than there seems to be gullible enough to turn up to these meetings. But Rebel Without a Pause seems to think it's all just and he knows it all, and the typical truther. It's they that are conspiring to press the entire world, etc., etc., etc. And now we can see, as usual, these idiots, they're indoctrinated with this rubbish. They're usually too simple to work out for themselves or use Google. And today, Rebel has gone down to his local airport to conjure up more lies and misinformation to push his conceived hoax of jet fuel. This complete nonsense. And let's now see what Rebel Without a Clue has to say.
Right. Last week, we went to Glasgow Airport just to see what's going on. See where all the airplanes are. See, I live basically a mile from the end of the runway, so I'm right on the flight path. And I've lost a lot of acts in the last 2 months. Right, now, when you're looking at this, remember, Glasgow Airport is a relatively small airport and it only has one main runway. So there are many larger airports with many more airplanes, the same situation all over the world. So bear that in mind. And what we have here is, well, 14 British Airways sitting parked nose to tail. Right, and there's airplanes all over the place. Any spare bit, stick an airplane in it. Right, okay. And I've got a bunch regarding all this. Right. For example, if an airplane is just sitting idle on the tarmac for 2 months and change, well, do you not expect it to get, like, well, I don't know, a safety check or something? I would imagine so.
Yes, you would imagine correct. Both Airbus and Boeing have storage checks to be carried out on aircraft in long-term storage. And prior to the aircraft returning to service, more in-depth inspections and checks will be carried out before they are flight ready.
Right, so let's talk about the fuel. Right, so here's where they say to put it. On the wings. Okay. Yeah. We'll look at that shortly. Right, so first of all, these airplanes may each take something like 30,000 gallons of fuel. I'll show you. The total fuel capacity of the 7878 is 33,340 US gallons.
And here we see Rebel starting to fulfill the lie about this jet fuel hoax. He doesn't know the difference between an A321 and a 787, and he's incapable of finding that out. He just wants to perpetrate this lie these conspirators have come up with that is pure nonsense. And we shall see in a second or two the difference. Yes, a 787 can carry almost 100 tons of fuel on board, which equates to around about 33,000 gallons. But we are looking at, and he is looking at, a little Airbus A321. Well, let's start with one of the Airbuses at the back of the queue, G Med J. Registration was clear as day on the side of the aeroplane, and we'll type in a Google search. Being an aircraft engineer and a bit of a plane spotter, I knew it was an A321 to begin with, but if you just put the registration in, it'd have brought you to the same place. Let's have a look at the images. Oh, look. Yes. Looks like the aeroplane we've got there on the tarmac. And let's have a look at a bit of the facts about the aeroplane, shall we? And where we go. And here's the details of the aeroplane, and we can see in the bottom right hand corner it was stored at Glasgow Airport. That's the airport code GLA for Glasgow. To confirm, that is the aeroplane that is there Rebel was looking at, not a 787. Let's take another one just to double check. This time it's GEUXM, and we should do a quick Google search and let's see what that brings up. More pretty pictures of 321s, and here is EUXM, a Airbus 321. And let's have a look. Bottom right hand corner there, it's stored at Glasgow Airport since the 17th of March. Not a 787, is it? Here we have the tank layout of the two Airbuses, the A319-320 and the 321. The wings are identical dimensions, but as you can see, the fuel system is slightly different. The tank layout is divided differently between the two little Airbuses, but at the end of the day, the total fuel is the same at 18,729 kilograms. Not litres, kilograms, because in the aviation world it is far more important to know how heavy you are than how many litres there are on board. And there is a calculation we can do which is quite straightforward. So we shall see how many US gallons there are actually in these wings, so Rebel, without a clue, may understand. Right, we need 18,729 kilograms. We divide that by how much the specific gravity of the average fuel is, and averagely it's about 0.7. It's about 0.78. which gives us 24,011 litres. Now, to convert that, there are approximately 0.264 of a US gallon to a litre. So we shall see how many US gallons there are. And we have in an Airbus A320, A321, approximately 6,339 US gallons.
So, fueling from empty to full should take about 31 minutes with 2 trucks. Keep that in mind. Right. Now, filling the Airbus A380 can take 2 hours. Let me remind you, they use the same hoses to fill an A380 as any other airplane. Right? And that happens at a rate of an astonishing 1,000 gallons a minute. And so much flow can generate static, which can create a deadly spark. Jet fuel is kerosene based and blah 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 blah. So, health and safety then, right? Wrong. So let's check something out, right? Right.
Now he brings up irrelevant figures for aircraft that are not even at Glasgow, just to compound more misleading information. He now claims that tanker cannot refuel that aircraft, but in fact, as that's only a little 737, the contents of that tanker would be able to replenish the aircraft. And in this one, this is a fuel bowser, which basically is a mobile pump truck that connects the underground hydrant main fuel supply to the aircraft to refuel the aircraft.
Right. See? Same thing. You set me a truck. And they use hoses like this. Right. Remember it said it's highly flammable? Oh look, he's got health and safety up as well. It's okay. Right.
On the health and safety front, I don't know what he's expecting to see, as jet fuel is less flammable than petrol, and literally refueling an aircraft is almost like going into a petrol station. Yes, the bowser will be grounded to the aircraft so that the same potentials to stop static charges building up. And this whole area with the bowser is a no-go area for anybody else while the refuel is in progress. Perfectly safe, standard procedures.
Right. Same thing applies here. Right. Well, there's no health and safety here. Right. So, he's ready for a fire, aren't he? So look how loose all the hoses are getting into the wing. At 1,000 gallons a minute, apparently. There's another 10,000 gallon truck. And this is a 10,000 gallon truck. So, what they're saying is, the airplane that we're talking about, that's on the runway at Glasgow Airport, would need 3 of these to fill up to capacity, and this would go in apparently to the wings. Right? So let's have a look at wings. Right. No matter whether you're making a glider, a Learjet, a jumbo jet, makes no difference. The construction of the wings is the same. They need this framework, well, to hold it together, I suppose. And this is how it works.
And Rebel, without a clue, continues to prattle on proving that he has no idea what he's looking at or how that actually is constructed. And he is proving he is completely clueless as to how a wing actually works, and has failed to even do the basic reading of aerodynamic engineering of a wing.
Okay, back to this. 1,000 gallons a minute. Really? This, apparently, is 1,000 gallons a minute. As you watch these guys work, and you check out the bottom right hand corner, you'll see that there uses, and it is 265 gallons a minute. So what they're saying is the pressure with these pumps at the airport is 4 times this pressure.
Like all truthers, Rebel without a clue's ignorance is amazing. If you look at this document, this is for airport planning for turning around an A321 or an A320 or any Airbus or any large aircraft. Because says at the bottom here, the maximum refuel pressure of 3.45 bar, which equates to 50 psi, regardless of the flow rate. And if he'd paid attention to the document he highlighted earlier about the refueling of a 787, it stated the refuel of 1,000 gallons a minute had a pressure of only 35 psi. The important thing is the pressure of the refuel. The maximum refuel pressure will be 50 psi. These following documents cover the major aircraft built by Boeing and Airbus, and they all paint the same picture, that there is an international standard for airports for their fuel pressure refueling capabilities to the aircraft, and the maximum refuel pressure is 50 psi. And as we know, pressure and flow rate aren't dependent on one another. Sadly, Rebel, like all truthers, cannot grasp basic science, that flow rate and pressure are different. Here's something you could try at home, Rebel. Right, turn the tap on, flow rate constant. Now water pressure increases, flow rate similar rate, water pressure increases. Now we turn both taps on, flow rate increases, and we increase the water pressure. And the reason why the water pressure was being increased, we were restricting the flow out of the tap. So where to now, Rebel? Where are we going to go now? Oh yes, you are going to take us back to Glasgow Airport and to paint the picture of how much fuel is required by those 14 787s that you think are parked there, but in fact they are really Airbus A321s and a couple of A319s. If only you'd bothered to check on Google what they were if you didn't know. But hey ho, you're a typical truther trying to reinforce the lie you want to push. And now we're going to see some concocted numbers that you try and support your case. And then we will go and see the fuel farm that you can't understand why there is not truck after truck after truck bringing fuel into the airport. Well, there's a reason for that. It's called an underground pipeline. Since the Second World War, Britain has had its major airports linked by an underground fuel network, which originally was designed for Royal Air Force bases and post-war has been expanded to take in civilian airports. And the fuel tanks at the airports you see are just reserves. And the fuel tanker trucks you do see on the airport are there to refuel the aircraft that can't be refueled by the ground hydrant system. This is Glasgow. And Rebel Without a Clue, you might be familiar with this area of Glasgow. It's just a random street I just happened to zoom in on. And let's have a look at the street. Look at all those houses. And it says here, approximately each person uses 142 litres of water each day, and the average household uses 349 litres each day. Now, that's basing presumably on an average family of 2 adults and 2 children. So, 349 litres per household. There seems to be hundreds of households here. So shouldn't we be seeing fleets of tankers delivering water and taking away sewage from these properties on a daily basis here in Glasgow and up and down every town and city in the country? No, we don't, because most places are connected with an underground mains water supply and a sewage supply. So why can't you accept an airport can have an underground fuel system connecting it to a fuel main? It's not beyond engineering science. We've been doing it for donkey's years with water and waste. We can definitely do it with fuel, and have been since the Second World War. And now Rebel Without a Clue goes to this fuel price monitor statistic and displays a graph that he clearly can't comprehend. The graph does show the sudden drop in demand for aviation fuel, which corresponds with all our lockdowns here in Europe and in the United States first part of this year, and where basically the aviation industry has stopped flying. But we also see the price starting to rise as the demand for fuel starts increasing again, as the countries that are out in the Far East are now starting to fly more and more, and our own aviation industries are now starting to take tentative steps back to normal.